The heavy steel doors opened slowly, not with a dramatic clang, but with a quiet mechanical hum that felt unreal to the people standing behind them. For years, freedom had existed only as a word, a memory, or a distant dream. Now, for 7 innocent convicts, it was suddenly real. Their reactions were not loud or theatrical. They were deeply human, raw, emotional, and unforgettable. The first man stepped out hesitantly, as if afraid the ground outside might vanish beneath his feet. He had spent 23 years behind bars for a crime he did not commit. When the judge declared him innocent, he didn't cheer. He froze. His hands trembled, and his eyes searched the room as though expecting someone to stop him. Only when his elderly mother collapsed into tears did he finally understand. He fell to his knees, pressing his forehead to the floor, whispering the same words again and again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. For him, freedom felt fragile, like glass that could shatter at any moment. The second reaction came from a man who had entered prison at 19 and was now 41. He had grown up inside concrete walls, learned adulthood through survival, not choice. When told he was free, he laughed. Not a joyful laugh, but a loud, uncontrollable one that echoed through the courtroom. Tears streamed down his face as the laughter slowly turned into sobbing. Outside, when he saw the open sky without barbed wire for the first time in decades, he stood perfectly still for nearly 10 minutes. Later he said, "I forgot the sky was this big." The third convict's reaction was silence. Absolute silence. She had been wrongfully convicted of killing her abusive husband and had spent 15 years in prison. When the verdict was overturned, reporters leaned in, waiting for tears or words. None came. She simply closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Only later, when she was alone in a small room with her sister, did she finally break. She cried softly, apologizing over and over for missing birthdays, funerals, and ordinary days. Her freedom came with grief for a life that could never be returned. The fourth reaction shocked everyone. The man walked out of prison and immediately asked to go back inside. Confused officers thought he was joking. He wasn't. He had spent 30 years incarcerated, longer than he had lived outside. The world beyond the gates terrified him. Cars, phones, noise, choices. After a few hours, he agreed to leave, but only if a social worker walked beside him. His reaction revealed a painful truth. Innocence does not erase trauma. Freedom can be frightening when prison becomes the only life you know. The fifth innocent man reacted with anger. As the judge spoke the words wrongful conviction, his face hardened. When he stepped outside, instead of celebrating, he punched the air and shouted in rage. "They stole my life," he yelled. He had lost his youth, his marriage, and the chance to see his children grow up. Later, during an interview, he admitted that freedom felt incomplete. "I'm free," he said, "but I'll never get back what they took." His reaction reminded the world that justice delayed is still injustice. The sixth reaction was one of pure disbelief. This man had filed appeals for decades, each one rejected. When his lawyer told him the conviction was overturned due to new DNA evidence, he thought it was a cruel joke. Even after walking out, he kept asking, "Is this real?" He touched the grass, the walls, even the car door, as if checking whether freedom had texture. That night, in his first bed outside prison, he didn't sleep. He sat by the window until sunrise, afraid that closing his eyes might send him back. The seventh reaction was the quietest, but perhaps the most powerful. A soft-spoken man in his 60s walked out carrying a small box, everything he owned. No family waited for him. No cameras followed him. He smiled gently at the guards, thanked them, and stepped into the world alone. When asked how he felt, he said, "I forgive them." Those words stunned everyone. He explained that holding hatred would mean prison still owned him. For him, freedom was not just release from a cell, but release from bitterness. These 7 reactions tell 7 different stories, yet they share one painful truth. Innocence does not undo time. Years lost cannot be returned, memories missed cannot be recreated, and scars, both visible and invisible, remain. Freedom is not a finish line. It is the beginning of a long, uncertain journey. For some, freedom meant joy mixed with fear. For others, it came with anger, grief, or disbelief. But in every case, the moment of release exposed the human cost of wrongful convictions. These were not just legal errors. They were stolen lives. As the prison gates closed behind them for the last time, none of these innocent convicts walked away unchanged. Their reactions remind us that justice is not only about punishment, but about responsibility. When the system fails, the damage lasts long after the verdict is corrected. And for those who finally breathe free air after years of injustice, freedom is not loud. It is heavy, emotional, and deeply personal, a moment where the past and future collide and a stolen life begins again.